Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's edition of Grassroots, the program that looks into the issues and answers of the area in which we live. Grassroots is hosted by lawyer, columnist, and businessman Tom Corrington. Grassroots is a presentation of P-Head Productions, produced by Jim Fuller, with associate producer Philip Scoggins, associate director Tom Corrington, and sound director Bob Payne. So sit back, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy today's edition of Grassroots.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's Grassroots. As you are aware, at least on the local scene, we're into the election season, and we've wanted to cover some of the candidacies there. And our start today is with the Manchester Board of Aldermen, and there are 2 seats available, and there are 5 candidates seeking those seats. 2 of the candidates are incumbents, and one of them, Gene Holmes, has a voice problem and asked to be excused. And Debbie Hudgens, who is the other incumbent, said that there was a call meeting just about the time of our doing the show, so she was unable to come. So we have the 3 challengers who have joined us today, and they are Elizabeth McKenzie, who is on my immediate left, and next to her is Ryan French, and next to him is Jackie Sisk. So I want to welcome all 3 of you for agreeing to appear, and thanks for taking time to join us. With that, folks, let me remind you that the election is August the 6th, and the early voting begins on the 17th, and will end around a week before the election, whatever that is. So be prepared. And with that, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and talk to the candidates. We're back, folks, and we're talking today with the candidates for alderman for the city of Manchester. And as I mentioned earlier, they are Elizabeth McKenzie on my left and Ryan French next to her, and Jackie Sisk on the end. So I always follow the practice of giving the candidates a couple of minutes to say why they're running, why you think it ought to be you instead of one of the other guys, and also what you consider your credentials to be your qualifications for the job. So, Ms. McKenzie, let's begin with you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Elizabeth McKenzie. I was born and raised in Manchester, the daughter of former educators. My husband is a member of the National Guard. I feel like my basic qualifications are that I know Manchester. I've been here all my life. I was born and raised. I was raised in the school system. I have 2 children that are in the school system now. And I think that I'll be more than capable of making decisions.
Why do you want to run?
Well, I was the treasurer for James Threet's run for Senate this past year, and that kind of sparked my interest.
You got the bug, huh?
Yes, I did. And then my mother and father have moved close to D.C., so my children have gotten very interested in politics, and I thought, well, I'll show them that it can be done. So.
Okay, very good. Mr. French.
Well, of course, my name's Ryan French, like you mentioned. I was born in Manchester. I've lived there my whole life. You know, I went to school in Lynchburg, which Jackie and I know each other pretty well from that. I believe Manchester is at a time where we're at a crucial window here between the next 5 and 15 years. Manchester sits, if people would realize this and wake up, we're sitting on a gold mine. We're a corridor, I-24. We've got multiple industries that we can promote with I-24 through, and we've got the state highways 53, 55, 41. But as far as bringing to the board, there's 4 things that I think that we need to hone in if we're going to be a successful city in the future. And those are professionalism. We got to keep strong schools, open government, and transparency in that, and balance the budget, the last one being the most crucial. Why I'm interested in politics, my granddad's a county commissioner, Paul Hogan. I've always been around him and his political endeavors. My other granddad was a branch manager at AEDC, very outspoken political opinions, and Pete French. and I've just always been around it. It's been something that is in me, and I believe that there is no greater service larger than oneself than to give back to your community in this way, because it's something that we had discussed earlier. It's not about your own personal agenda, your own personal ideas. It's what's doing best for the community and the community's ideas, the community's agenda. And that's one thing that I believe I'll bring to the table. Qualifications, I believe there's only one qualification that you have to run for public office, and that's heart. You have to care about your community. You have to be involved in your community. I'm young, still in college. I'm working hard, and going to get my degree and get out. But this is a way I can give back now, and that's my intentions.
Where are you going to school?
Going to Motlow.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sisk.
Right, I'm Jackie Sisk, and I moved to Manchester when I was a junior, and I raised 2 children that went through the Manchester City school system till they were in 7th grade. Both of them now have graduated from UTC. Why am I running? Well, I'm a caring person. When I was an alderman roughly 20 years ago, I made it a point to listen to people, make sure I didn't make any rash judgments, think about it, always got back to the people when they had problems, and tried to come up with the best solution for all. And I have this background from my education background, 36 years in education, where I learned to be a listener, where I learned to care for people. And this is the reason why I think I would do a good job for Manchester to move forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Let me ask you to identify what you consider 1 or 2 of the top challenges facing Manchester, for starters, and this time let's begin with Mr. French.
The one that I mentioned at the end a while ago is the budget. We've got opponents, incumbent opponents, that have mentioned that they will not vote for a tax increase, and that's something that they refuse to do. They will never raise taxes on the city of Manchester. And that may be somewhat true. However, I argue that if you continue to pass budget after budget after budget that is in the deficit, you're simply delaying the inevitable. The money has got to be paid at some point. There's several things that...
Were they in a deficit this year?
Well, this year's budget is being passed today, so that has not been finalized yet. Last year we started, the starting budget was $286,000 in the deficit, that was voted with a vote of 5-1, and it was in a blink of an eye they passed the budget and we moved on. And there are several things in that budget. If you look at the budget, it's basic spreadsheet. You look down through it. There's several things that you can cut back on.
Well, let's get into that in a minute. Okay. Anything you want to mention other than the budget?
You've got public safety hazards. That is one of the biggest issues, and I have made an active approach to this, speaking with other city mayors and even another county mayor, state senator, and representative. We have a school in Westwood Elementary School, Jeter High, that sits on Oakdale Street, where kids have been grazed by cars and hit by cars, and we've let this go for years and years and years, and it's something that needs to be addressed. We need sidewalks on Oakdale Street. It's an area of town where a lot of people walk.
All right. Mr. Sisk.
I think one of the biggest concerns, if you listen to the news, read the paper with Manchester in the last couple of years, is the performance of the employees. We need in our city to have some type of performance report. In education, this is the big push. My director has to report to the board, which grades him. Then he grades the principals grades the teachers. You can't just come in and fire somebody or get rid of them without okay, we talked to you about this, or we did this performance report with you. This is where you're weak.
Manchester
Let's improve.
has no evaluation.
They may have. If they do,